morning, folks. Little technical glitch there this morning. I apologize. Hopefully this is working okay. If you could just let me know in the comments if let's see. Oh dear, let's have a look. Let's see if you could comment just to let me know you can see me and that you can hear me. That would be really helpful, because right now I don't see anything. Let's see. Blah blah blah. Hi. Oh yay. Thank you. Oh, one of those mornings. I literally, excuse me, it's like 90 degrees here, so working. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Joanne. Oh, I just read your email, Joanne. Thank you. I'll reach out to you a little bit later. Hi, Debbie. Thank you very much. Yeah, one of those mornings. It's like 90 degrees, or it will be today. So I'm like, I'm a little glowy this morning, let's just say. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Mary. Hi, Veronica. Thanks for letting me know everything's good. Excuse me. So we're in for a hot day today here. So I thought, you know what? No makeup today. We don't really need makeup slided down my face. But I did just hop out the shower like 10 minutes ago, so it's still pretty warm. So thanks everyone for letting me know it's working. Excellent. Oh gosh, there's lots of you today. Hi DJ, how you doing? I love following. Oh, have you seen DJ's books? By the way, if you're in the free Facebook group, Crafting Handmade Books, DJ is making a series of books using sort of vintage kitchen utensils, and they are amazing. So I would head over there and check them out, because they are stunning, quite frankly. Good morning, Danette. Morning, Hillary. Excellent. Carol. Hi, Carol. I think I just saw your did you just make the piano hinge book, Carol? I think you did. Looks fabulous if you did. Someone did, and looked amazing. Hi, Marguerite from the Cincinnati Book Art Society. Hello. Hillary from Green Bay. Where else? Let's see. Teresa. Lucy. Oh, hi, Lucy. How's it going in the Cotswolds, right? Oh, you lucky person. Wish we could visit the UK. Apparently we're not welcome. So, all right. So, Americans are not welcome in Europe right now. Can't imagine why. So, this morning we're going to be doing an accordion book, which looks something like this. It's a layered accordion book. Oh no, hold on, gotta try and hold it straight. It's a layered. Now, some people might call this a star book, because you can make it like a star, but that's a four-pointed star. So in my mind, that's actually not a star book. So it's a layered accordion book with 4 layers. And it's not complicated, but there's quite a few steps for this book. So I've decided to, I'm going to give you an overview. And if you want to take some notes, go ahead and ask questions. And if you have questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to me. That's absolutely fine. I'll do my best. Ali at vintagepagedesigns.com is the best place to get hold of me. And so I'm going to give you an overview of this book. To do it like real justice, we'd have to spend a couple hours going through each step really slowly, but I'm just going to give you an outline of the steps. I'm going to show you, I've sort of pre-done one. You can kind of see here, I've sort of pre-done one, and I'll sort of show you each step. But just wanted to give you a heads up, this, you know, unless you've got a spare 5 hours. So let's see who else is. Oh my goodness, there's lots of people here today. Heavens to Betsy. Virginia. Ida's here. Nan. Hi, Nan. Oh, DJ says she has more utensils to use. Honestly, they're just, I don't even know how you came up with that, DJ. I'd be really curious. So just a couple of announcements before we start. I'll start in a couple seconds. Just hi, Drora. Just a couple of announcements. If you're not a member of the free Facebook group Crafting Handmade Books, I encourage you to join. If you go to my page, if you go to the Facebook page Vintage Page Designs, you can see a button which says Join Groups. And then this month's challenge in the group is to make an accordion book of any kind. There are many different ways to do an accordion book, so that's why I'm doing an accordion book today. So hi Rita, hi Amy. So I'm complaining it's hot here. I imagine Las Vegas it's even hotter. And then the second announcement is this weekend, as you know, I used to run the Handmade Paper Club because I have a lot of handmade paper that I bought from a friend who retired. He was a paper maker in Vermont, Richard his name is, and he retired. He made paper for 20 years. He retired and he had a huge stock, tens of thousands of, well, thousands of pages of sheets of handmade paper. So I purchased them from him, and I was selling them for a while in a monthly club. I've stopped doing that right now, but periodically I have a paper sale, probably no more than twice a year, I would say. So this weekend is the first sale of the year. So that is, let me just check the calendar, that is the, where are we, we're in July. That's 11, 12 and 13, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is the paper sale. So if you go to vintagepagedesigns.com, there'll be there's a button there which says shop, but it won't be open until Saturday. It is open Friday if you're a Handmade Book Club member. It's open Friday with a password, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday for everyone else. Okay, let's make a start. If you're just joining us, we're making this layered accordion book. Hopefully you can see it. It has layers like this. Some people might call this a star book, but I don't, just because, hold on, it's really hard to get the camera straight with this, because I don't think a four-pointed star is a star book. And it closes flat like this, but really it's meant to be displayed. And the way I made this book is to layer up 4 pieces of handmade paper, which, surprise, surprise, is going to be, you know, online this weekend. That's another reason I thought I would show you a way to use it. This has got kind of a naturey theme. Obviously you do your theme however you like. I'm using 4 different types of paper, but I think what would be really nice is to maybe get a large piece of watercolor paper, printmaking paper, tear it into 4, and then maybe paint each one a different color, or color it with spray inks. I think that might also look like really neat. I'll do like a watercolor wash, maybe a graduated watercolor wash in like 4 different shades of blue, or like an ombre effect. So just because I'm using 4 different types of paper, that doesn't mean you have to use what you have available. So I'm going to flip the camera down in a moment. We're using 4 pieces of handmade paper. It's hard with the laptop. Morning, Susie. Hi, Marissa from Boston, my neighbour. We're using 4 pieces of handmade paper. Now, originally the sheets started out, hold on, I'm going to cover the whole screen now. The sheets started out like this, 19 by, I want to say 19 by 24 approximately, because they've got deckled edges, right? So each of the sheets of paper I'm using is a 1/4 sheet. So it measures about 4.5 inches high. So you want to take 4 pieces of paper that are all the same height, like this. And initially they'll be all the same length, and then we're going to trim them down. So 4 pieces of paper, doesn't have to be handmade, can be any type, but make it all the same height. These have got torn edges, so I mean there's going to be less, you know, few millimeters difference either way, but they're torn. I get a lot of questions about how to tear handmade paper, so I thought I would quickly show you how I tear down my paper. So I'm going to flip this around, folks, so hopefully you can see my disc. You don't really need to see my mouse, do you? So here's my desk. Let's get a little more light on here. Let's see if you can, how about that? Do you like to see my arm? Let's get a bit more light. There we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. Pull back the curtain as well. So we've got nice daylight. Okay. So I have a large sheet of handmade paper here. It is 24 by 19. And the way I tear this in half is I line up my edges like this. So I line up my long edges. Now it's good to stand up so you can see above it. Bone fold. you fold like this, and then I do it the other way too. So we're doing it in half. So lucky for me, this handmade paper doesn't have a grain. If you were, when you come to cut down your pages, you may have a grain to contend with, so just make sure your grain is running this way. So if you had a big piece of paper, the grain would run like this against the short edge. So I need to tear along this fold here. I'm going to tear for the first one. So all I do is I press down with my fingers or my thumb close to the edge, and I gently make tiny tears like that. That's really how I do all of my paper to get a torn edge. See, tiny tears like that. An alternative, so let's put it into quarters, which is how we're going to do it for the book. An alternative is to use a knife. So I'm just eyeballing this. I'm just lining up those top edges. Only folder. So I'm showing you this just because, like I said, I get so many questions about how to tear handmade paper. So that's, I think I might have made myself a new crease there. Lovely. So an alternative would be to use a paper knife. And if you don't have a paper knife, you could also use a butter knife. I have these sort of vintagey kind of ones that you get at flea markets. Kind of like that. And then you get the knife and you make tiny cuts sort of like away from you. It's a little hard to do it on camera like this. Hopefully you can see I'm just doing like tiny little cuts, almost like little sawing motion. You just want to make sure that you go along the edge and that you don't sort of bring the knife up onto the front. So that's another way of getting a really nice torn edge that we all like. See, it's tiny saw, and I'm kind of pulling it towards me so that the knife is quite close to my body. You can't see that, but I'm pulling it so the knife is quite close to me. I'm not sort of doing it like that. And that should give you a consistently nice torn edge. Okey-dokey, let's go to those. That paper is a lime and purple stripe, which will be on sale this weekend. I don't have many though, maybe 20 of those. Let me see if there's any questions. Phyllis says it's hot here on the Cape. Oh my God, I know, right? It's insane. Anna, hi from Oregon. Celeste, did you say where you bought it? It is my own handmade paper. Well, I didn't make it. I didn't make it. Richard made it. Richard from Vermont made it, and it's in my it'll be in my online store this weekend. This weekend only. Okay, I look very flushed. It's actually the light. I have a special light. Whoop. So I look very flushed. Okay, so now we've done a little paper demo. So if you're just joining us, I'm going to give you an overview of how to make this book. There's quite a few steps involved, so this will just be an overview. Feel free to make notes and ask questions in the feed or ask questions later. If there's enough interest, I might do a quick Zoom class. Lots of people have been asking for Zoom classes, like one-offs, like a 2 or 3 hour Zoom class. So if that's something of interest, let me know and I can do a longer version of this class and book. But this is just going to give you an overview. So let's just set that aside. Here's my pieces of paper, pre-cut earlier. So I tore these down earlier. I have 4 pieces. Sorry, it's so long, it's hard to get in the camera. 4 pieces. So the way it's going to work is we're going to make each piece slightly shorter. So the back piece we're not going to touch. The next piece we'll make 1 inch shorter. The next piece will make 2 inches shorter, and then the final front piece will make 3 inches shorter. So that when we line up these edges to sew them, that's when we get these gaps, and that's when you get this sort of almost like tunnel book effect. We're also going to cut windows in the pages, and we're going to cut those all slightly different sizes so that you can see through the book. So the first decision you have to make is what paper is going to be on the back. Now I really like having this small leaf paper on the back because that's the one that's going to be most visible. Here's the sort of one I made earlier. That's going to be most visible. the back sheet of paper. You can see that. So I'm deciding that my back piece of paper, which is this small leaf, don't worry, I have plenty of this, so if you want to use it, you can. I'm having that on the bottom. So I'm not gonna change the measurements on this, but I'm gonna leave it whole. For the next layer, I think I'll do this craft color. So I'm gonna take 1 inch off this edge. Let me just grab my ruler. Okay, I left it over on the side. I have a fan right next to me as well. I'm using a quilting ruler, and I'm just going to take 1 inch off the end of the second piece of paper. So I could cut this, but you know what, I might tear it, so I'm just going to score it with the dull edge of my blade. I'm going to fold, I'm going to tear. And you couldn't just lose that. We won't use that later, just save it. So there's piece, here's piece number 1, here's piece number 2. It's 1 inch shorter. Looks actually more than 1 inch, but oh well. The next piece, I think I'll do this gold paper. So I'm going to take 2 inches off this. So I'm using a quilting ruler, but by all means just use a regular metal ruler. You could cut, or you could score and tear. That's piece number 3. Yeah, that looks like it was bigger, but that's okay. And then the final piece for the front, which is the piece that's going to show. So here it's the dark umber, the brown, I'm going to use this piece too, which is umber. So I'm going to take 3 inches off that. So 1, 2, 3, score. So this is the burnt umber floral paper. It's got like pieces of broom flower embedded in it. It's really nice. So now we have our 4 pieces of paper, slightly different lengths. The one at the back is the longest, and then they graduate by 1 inch. So, I mean, I guess you could do 5, 6, 7 pieces of paper. It might be a little bit too much to juggle, but hey ho. Next up, we're going to fold our accordions. So, now I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't do this right. I think there's a correct way to get all your accordions in the same direction, but I'm going to just do it how I'm going to do it the way that I can be most accurate without measuring. So I just fold in half. If I get a leaf like this, I'll just get rid of it. I fold like that, and then I flip it over because I like to bring the edge up to the peak like that. I find it easier. But by all means, just fold your accordion how you like. We're going to fold it into 8. So I folded that into 4. So now we have 4 pieces. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to fold this folded edge into the center. I just find that gives me the most accurate accordion. And then you can just sort of, and then, but like I said, this doesn't get me, doesn't always get it the right way round, so you just need to turn your pages so that you get them correct. So make sure facing towards you is the paper that you want to see, because this has got a back and a front. So I'm just going to go in and do that. So while I do that, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat, and then I will look and see if I can answer them. But I can bet you a sheet of paper that someone else in the club, I mean in the group, will be able to answer it for you. So here's the first accordion. This page faces in, this page faces in. So I'm going to repeat that very quickly while you chat and answer each other's questions. The next piece is the, which one did I do next? I did the craft next. And this one is slightly shorter. This one is slightly shorter than the back piece. So So they're all shorter by an inch or about 2.5 centimeters. My metric loving friends. So just do each one. Just want to get them going in the right direction, because I know that I think there is a correct way to do it, but you know, hey, I'm not really one for always doing it the correct way. But you see, my edges are always lined up. So. All right. So then we have the second page, and if I line up these edges, you'll see that it's slightly smaller, and we're starting to get this gap here. Let me check the questions. Let's see. Thank you, Lucy, for answering that question. Originals 19 by 24. Yep. Jean, do I add anything else to paper mache besides leaves? I am not a paper maker. Is an accordion book also called a concertina? I think so. I'm dripping from the walk. Hi from Germany. Okay. Yes, Todd says, because Todd and I are in the same studio building. The studios are sweltering. Yeah, I was there yesterday, Todd. Not good. Okay. So, I appreciate you answering one another's questions. Catherine says, if you have a lighter weight paper, would it be better to reduce the difference in size, i.e. half an inch? No, well, possibly, Catherine, if you felt like it wouldn't stand up well on the desk, let me just, sorry, if you felt like it was a very flimsy paper and wouldn't stand up well, then yeah, I guess you could. But this gap is not very big. So I might still be tempted to do it with an inch. But yeah, I mean, you certainly could do it. The principle of doing with a half an inch would be the same. They'd all be slightly smaller and give you a gap between them. So I'm going to just carry on, folks. I didn't pre-do this part, but so this is the burnt umber floral. Might just have a change and do it this way. Whew. Honestly, I'm living life on the edge, folks. Living life on the edge. I think there is a correct way to fold accordions, but I'll be blowed if I know. So then make it go in the direction that you like. I think in Gabrielle Fox's book, she tells you the correct way to get all the folds going in the right direction. That's number 3. Oh no, that's the last one, beg pardon. The gold one's number 3. So this is a solid gold paper. It's got a slight luster to it, which is kind of yummy. So now we have all 3. So the next step will be, I mean all 4, beg pardon. The next step will be to cut out our windows from each one. So what you want to do with your windows, see, look, it always comes out right. We're going to make our windows all slightly smaller. There we go. So if you want to see how it's going to look like this. It's going to look like this. So, I mean, literally that took me 5 minutes, right? 4 pieces of paper. And then this one's an inch smaller, this one's an inch smaller, 2 inches smaller, this one's 3 inches smaller. So they just get gradually shorter. So you need to cut out the windows. So what you want to do is in the first front page, which is going to be our umber, you want to cut the largest window. Then in the next page, which here is gold, you cut a slightly smaller window. Then in the back you cut the third one, you cut the shortest window, smallest window, and then in the back piece there's no window. So the way I figure that out is with the least measuring. So I made myself a little template. So I made myself a card template, and apparently I had to write template on there so that, yeah, apparently I wouldn't know that. So I made myself a card template for my window for the front, which is going to be our biggest window. And then I'm going to mark around it and cut those windows out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take off a 1/4 inch and then do the next row of windows. And then I'm going to make it slightly smaller and do the next row of windows, because I'm fundamentally a little bit lazy and I don't want to make 3 different templates. I just want to make one. So when you're doing the windows, don't put windows on the 2 ends. Just put windows in the middle pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows. So that these end pieces are a little more sturdy. They've actually, this is birch bark, by the way. So that if you leave all the end pieces windowless, I find them more sturdy, and it's easier to sew them together along this edge. I made a mistake actually in my sample, and I did put a window on one end, and it just makes it a little less stable. So keep the end pieces windowless. Excuse me. Grab a drink. Okay. The way I do this is, I'm not going to do every single one because I did them already. I make my template. Now this template, I've given myself 1/2 inch all the way around. All the way around here. Have I given myself 1/2 inch or 1/4? Actually, I think I've given myself 1/4. I've given myself a 1/4 inch all the way around. Okay. So it's a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch narrower and a 1/2 inch shorter than my accordion page. That makes sense? I'm going to grab a pencil. I'm going to center it and I'm going to mark the corners. My pencil. Now, by all means, grab a ruler, grab a square. But because I'm creating this sort of organic looking book, I'm actually going to freehand cut it. So let's take off the glasses, shall we? So here are my, you won't be able to see this, but I've got my 4 pencil marks from the template, like this. And I'm going to go in with this sharp alpha knife, and I'm going to cut freehand like that, so that it's kind of wavy and wobbly. And for once in my life, I'm intentionally doing a non-straight line. So it can be tough to cut through those botanicals sometimes. Be careful because look, we don't have much space, so we've only got this 1/4 inch frame. So it's quite delicate, so you want to be quite careful when you're doing this. And I want you to repeat this all the way along. I'm going to show you how I did that. You want to repeat this all the way along with that same template. So this front piece is pretty delicate. So here's where I made the mistake. I cut that out by mistake. So I might as well leave the mistake in to show you. So this front piece will have 2 solid ends, but it's quite delicate. So just be careful. Set that to one side. Now we're going to make this template a 1/4 inch smaller all the way around. Honestly, I'm going to eyeball it, look. I'll take it a 1/4 inch off and a 1/4 inch off. I'm going to take my next piece of the book, which was the gold. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Leave the ends solid so it gets some support, and then mark where the you want your window. Now for the first one, this burnt umber one, we centered it, but for this you could actually put it to one side so that the windows, and this is what I did here, so that the windows are slightly staggered. So you don't have to center it. I'm just going to put it over to the left a little bit. Mark my corners with my pencil, and again I'm going in freehand. You don't have to. If working freehand freaks you out, just use a ruler. And I will look up in a second and just check your questions. Lift this piece out. This is the solid gold. So of course you're going to have lots of these little pieces of paper flying around. So you're going to repeat that on the next layer in all of the windows. Where should we put that? We'll pop that over here. In the sample book I made, it was actually the craft went next, but that's neither here nor there. So you can see now this window is a little bit smaller than the last one. And then you're going to cut down this template for the 3rd and final time. So it's teeny tiny and narrow. So it's like this, and then you're going to use it on your last, let's see, you're going to use it on your last piece of paper. And you're going to do the same thing. You're not going to do it on the ends, you're just going to do it in the 6 pieces in between. And this one you really can put it down on over in the corner. I wouldn't make this edge or this frame any smaller than 1/4 inch. But you can move these around the panel so that your windows are staggered. So let me see, we'll lose that one. And then we'll lose this one. And we'll get back to the sample I made this morning in my jammies. I'm going to check your questions. I'm going to show you how it all goes together. And then I'll give you some ideas for decorating. Let's have a look. It's burnt umber or dark umber floral. Yes, I think it's burnt umber. It's floral, yes. It's got the flowers in it. It's got the broom flower in it, Joanne. Fran says Lincoln is wet and cold. Oh, I'd love wet and cold right now. Do you ever try this with 3 sheets instead of 4? Yeah, you could do it with 3 instead of 4. I haven't, but you could. Yeah, I guess you could do 5 too. It depends on different. Oh, great, thank you. Celeste answering the question about the paper. Hi, Ali. Sweltering here. Oh, New York has a heat advisory. Ali, the size of the windows are all the same, but put in different places. No. So the windows in there, let me show you one more time. Oh, sorry, Laurel. Let me show you again, Maria, the windows, because it can be a little confusing. So this is a good time actually to just do a quick review. Gosh, it's hard using my laptop. I usually use my phone. So here's my back page, which is the small leaf one. No windows. Null windows. My next layer is this, I think it's this layer. Yes. My next layer is this craft, which has the smallest windows. My next layer is this cream floral, which has bigger windows. And then my top layer is the burnt umber floral with the largest windows. So they go, so this was 2 by 4. Then I lopped off a 1/4 inch for this one, and I lopped off another 1/4 inch all the way around for this one. Sorry about the keep moving it around. So yes, the windows, as from front to back, the windows get smaller, and then in terms of length, from back to front, the pieces of paper get longer. Do you see why this is an overview? I mean, it really could be a separate class. So before we attach them and sew them, we're going to want to do some decorating, right? So I will, but I'm going to skip that step because you don't really need to see me umming and ahhing over decorating. And I will show you in the sample one of some decorating ideas. So now I have my 4 accordions. They're different lengths with different window sizes. And let's pretend I've decorated them and everything looks fine. What we're going to do is we're going to nest them together, and on this left edge here I'm going to align all these edges. So very carefully align the edges. Now I'm not going to do this on camera, you don't need to see it, but I'm going to use a sewing machine, but I do secure the ends with double stick tape first, and I will show you, and then we secure the other ends. So these ends have to be flush. Oops, we missed one. Both ends have to be flush in order to give you this tunnel effect right here. So you can see, hopefully in this book, that we have all different window sizes, but they're positioned differently, so you can kind of see through and peek through, and different things are revealed or not revealed. Now I have seen some people who some instructions they also sew with the sewing machine down these folds. I honestly have found I don't need to. I found doing a machine stitch down here and a machine stitch down here was more than enough. For now, I'm going to just secure them with some double stick tape. So this is quite a strong double stick tape. So I've put double stick tape on the back. And I would do this if I was using a sewing machine as well, because just to hold it in place. And yes, I know my needle wouldn't like it very much. I'm just removing the back pieces of the double stick tape, lining up those ends so you see how they're all flush. So I did this sample earlier when I was in my pajamas. But I thought, you know what, I better get dressed, because in case I needed to get up and go get something, which I did, and then you would have seen me in my PJs. So I'm just doing a couple little pieces of double stick tape, but you could do PVA if you wanted to. If you didn't want to do any machine sewing, you could tack them down with double stick tape and then do hand stitching, which I think would be really nice. I would pre-punch the holes with your awl and do a really nice hand stitch. You could even do something decorative if you didn't want to do a straight running stitch. So I'm just securing the ends. I don't feel the need to secure anything in the middle. So there we go. Of course we have all those little bits everywhere. So if you wanted to, you could add a row of stitching here, but all of the folds, but I actually kind of like the movement in the book when it stands up like this, so I personally would not do that. But let me show you the sample. I just got my sewing machine out and I just did 3, and well, actually this upside down. I love threads, so I left my threads long like this because I felt like it went along with the torn theme and the roughly cut windows. And the same here, you can see I just did several rows of stitching. One is probably only necessary, but I like the look of 2. And you can see there's no stitching here in these ones, they just lay flat. And you know, this isn't really meant to be a book that goes on a shelf. This is more of a sculptural book. Let me see if you've got any questions and I'll give you some ideas. Hi Nancy. It's all right, Maria. It's okay to ask questions. You're welcome. I'm more than happy to do it again. Morning, Jane from North Carolina. So Lucy doesn't have a sewing machine, so I would glue, use tape, or hand stitch it. If you got like your awl and a piece of 1/4-inch grid paper and punch some holes along the edge, you get a nice row of holes, and then I would hand stitch it. Does this require a special needle on sewing machine? I only use my sewing machine for paper generally. No, I just you will use more, go through more needles if you are using it on paper, Nancy, but I don't bother. Hi Deborah. Arlene abuses an old machine. Yeah, some people have like just one they keep for paper. Why do you add page decoration before you assemble? Because Lucy, it can be hard to sort of manipulate and get in between the so these frames are quite delicate. Oh, I'm showing you and you can't see. These sort of frames are quite delicate, so I would add everything you wanted to add before attaching together. I mean, you don't have to. You could do it afterwards. But I think there's just more chance of damaging the paper. Good question though. Do you make a closure? I haven't made a closure just because I stand it on the shelf, but yeah, why not? Why not make a closure? Maybe do like a wrap around it, or like what would I do for a closure? Do you know what, like a really nice box or slip cover might be might be nice for this too. One thing I forgot to mention is when you have cut all your windows out. Oh, I already glued it together. Oh well. once you've cut your windows out, just, you might want to go in again and crease your accordions again and rub them with your bone folder. For the small ones, you might just want to use your fingers, just because they're quite delicate. But yeah, that is one thing to remember. Is there a strategy for adding embellishments from front to back? Well, yes, Arlene, I would stack them on the table. I keep showing you things that you can't see. I would stack them on the, pretend these aren't glued together. I would stack them on the table and then look at them sort of face on and then see what you can see. See what parts of the page are revealed. So let me show you what I did on this one. So for this book here, which again is upside down, I added pieces of birch bark to the end pages. There's birch bark. Around some of the windows, I added some definition with some paint. So hopefully you can see I added paint around the edges just to define those sort of frames. I also added in some sticks. Where are the sticks? There's like a stick in here, and there's one right there. I added in some sticks, which I just glued down with, I think, PVA. I also added some strips of just collage. So I believe that this was a, what was that? It might have been an image transfer from one of my own photographs. It's right here from like a walk in the woods. So I didn't add a ton of embellishments, but I did on the front here, I think I splattered some paint. So I think Lucy was asking why decorate them ahead of time. If you were going to put paint on any of these, or you're going to edge any of them with some kind of ink, you may want to do that apart from the other pages. And then for the back page, I didn't do very much because the sort of leaves spoke for themselves. And then you can see I really cut these windows quite wavy here, just to give it sort of a more organic, like almost like tree trunk look. But if you're going for a much neater, crisper look, I would definitely use a ruler and a, you know, a square. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. Let's see, what other questions do you have? Hi, Tina. Oh, hi, Tina. Oh, I wish I could see you. Tina lives, oh, I don't know, an hour and a little bit away from me, and she often comes to in-person classes when we have them, but there are none. So do you make a closure? Is there a strategy for adding? So that's it. Hopefully that made sense. It was just a quick overview of the project. So just to recap, it's 4 pieces of paper. The front piece is the longest, and then they get progressively shorter by an inch, but you could do it ½ inch, progressively shorter by an inch, so that they nest like that. And then you add windows. The front window is the widest, and then the windows get smaller, so you get a kind of tunnel look. And then you decorate them in whatever way that you like, and then secure the ends with tape, with glue, hand sewing, machine sewing, and you get this little, like I say, I don't consider that a star book really, but this sort of sculptural accordion book. And I really want to try this with a piece of like watercolor paper. Maybe do, you know, divide it into 4 and then maybe do 4 different colors with like different washes and things, or maybe some spray inks, or maybe even paste paper. I think that'd be really fun to do, like, you know, 4 different colors and have sort of the different windows so you can see through. I think that'd be really neat, and maybe work with some like transparent elements. You could even maybe put some like transparencies or something, or vellum in between the windows. Like, this has a lot of potential, this kind of book structure. And it's a simple one, and honestly, simple is best, I think. What is the smallest journal that you can make instead of 24 inches long? Well, so Joanne, that's a good question. If you've got shorter pieces of paper, you can always join them together, right? So say, let's just say, hold on, let's say, I'm just going to tear this. Let's say I only had smaller pieces, and then I could only get like 4 pages. You could always piece them together. So I just pull this off. Just piece them together, and you would piece them together. Personally, I'd piece them together on the back like this with just a thin piece of paper, or even like a book cloth hinge or something. So yeah, if you're struggling to find big pieces of paper, or you already have like say some eco prints and they're small but you want to make it into a long accordion book, yeah, why not just piece them together? I think that was the question you're asking. What fun this will be. Thank you very much. Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, you're very welcome, folks. Emily says she can't wait to stock up on paper. Please stock up on paper. Honestly, you have no idea how much of this handmade paper I have. I'm so happy to share. Really happy to share it with you folks. Let's see. Hi, oh, Kathy's here. Really, do you think Kathy has a lot of potential? Like, I really feel like, I haven't really worked with this very much, but I feel like you could really do a lot with working with the idea of you know, things being hidden and then revealed and then sort of different layers. And like these just because these windows are rectangular, like what if you just did 2 squares instead? What if you did circles? Like, it's just a window. It doesn't have to be a rectangular window. It could be any shaped window. You could do like 3 narrow windows, like, you know, in a castle or something, like little slits, so they don't, do you know what I mean? Like, really, you could go in crazy pants with this. But but Joanne says, can it be a tiny book? Well, yeah, you can make it. I mean, really, with books, it's as small as like your hands can go, right? I mean, I would try and go for eight panels if you can, Joanne. But if you want to make them small, why not? It's just how fiddly you want to go. But I would definitely try to work with 8 panels, because it's easier to fold an accordion into 8. There's less measuring, but also if you want it to kind of stand up, I think 8 panels will look better. But I would go as small as your fingers can stand it. I have kind of clunky fingers. Kathy, yes, we can do paper to the UK. Andy helped me set up the shipping at the weekend. Lord only knows what it'll cost. But we did set it up such that it calculated UK shipping. You know, it'll charge the shipping that it really does cost. I mean, you know, it wouldn't make any money off that. So yeah, by all means, if you're overseas, put some stuff in your car and get it to calculate the shipping. And then honestly, if it's ridiculous, just nix it. And let's see. Marguerite saying hi to folks she knows. You're very welcome, Celeste. Does anyone have any other questions about this? I know I kind of rushed through. I generally do rush through on these things on a Thursday morning. What is the time? Oh, 10 to 11. I tell you what, I can go at a quick clip sometimes. I'm happy to maybe turn this into a Zoom class if anyone is interested, maybe in August. So next week, let me look. I'm on vacation. Andy and I are going up to Vermont on vacation next. Actually, it's going to be next. It's Thursday to Thursday, so I'm going to be missing a couple of Facebook Lives. So I think, just looking at my calendar, I think I will be back on the 30th. Yep, I'll be back here on the 30th of July to do another Facebook Live. And I'm sure I would have dreamed up another project for you by then. I don't know what it's going to be. Amy says the hour went really fast. Thank you for sharing your stock. Oh, please. It's my pleasure. I'm happy to. Like, how much paper can one person use, really? And now I can't do in-person classes till who knows when, because we were using a lot for classes. So let's just get it out in the world so everyone can use it. Arlene says this would be a great memory piece. Yeah, it would. That's a really good idea. Connie says yes. Okay, folks, well, it's been fun spending a little bit of time with you. It's nice to see some familiar faces and some new ones, and it's great that you, Kathy says, am I allowed to go on vacation? I don't know, what do you think? So in terms of like travel restrictions, we're going to Vermont, and because we live in a certain town that has less than so many cases per 1,000 people, we're allowed to visit Vermont from Massachusetts, apparently. But we can't visit Maine right now, I don't think, without a COVID test. So, but yeah, we're going to Vermont, but we decided to not stay in a hotel. We decided to stay in a little cabin in the middle of nowhere. So we're staying in a cabin on like 65 acres of nothing. So it's going to be great fun. So, so yes. But maybe I'm not really allowed a vacation because I should be doing books, right? Have a great vacation. All right, thank you, Claire. I hope you're all doing well. Please be safe. Please, if you're living in a part of the country or the US that's having more cases, please just stay home and don't go out. There's no need to go out. Stay home and make books. Don't get COVID. Just stay home and make books and keep away from people. Thank you, Ali. Thanks, Holly. I appreciate you showing up. Thanks, Kathy. Thank you, Anna. It was great to see everybody. I will see you in a couple of weeks on July 30th. Thanks, Jackie. I will. And if you make an accordion book of any kind, post it in the Facebook group, because that's this month's challenge. And particularly if you make this book, I'd be really curious. So see if anyone has a go of this. So all right, thanks Virginia, thanks Carla, lovely to see everyone, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Take good care. Bye bye.